Okay, guys, so let's just jump in here now and do some examples, all right? So, example 4 says solve this side angle case, solve triangle ABC with these given information. So, what do we have? Angle A is 115, A, and so on, so on, so on. So, if I want to draw angle A as 115, it has to be obtuse. And please, I'm not going to do this consistently. It takes time to try and actually figure out exactly what this looks like. But then the side opposite um, angle A would be long, which is why it's 20. Okay. And then they're saying side B, and I'd like to call this B and C, whatever. Side B opposite here would be 11, then it should be shorter than that side. So that's basically a rough little sketch. And whether you draw this correctly or not really doesn't matter. You just do the math correctly and things will come out. Okay? And so I think that's a good representation of what's going on. So step one would be just find the only other thing I can find at this point. So remember, we're law of sines. Law of sines, I have two pieces of opposite information here, and then I have to have two other pieces of opposite information here. So actually, the only thing I can find right now is try to find angle B. There's nothing else I can do at this point because of the way that law of sines works. I can't find side C, so this was small side A, this is small side B. I can't find side C or angle C because they're both unknown. So there's nothing I can do there to set up a law of sines situation to solve for angle C or side C. So I'm just going to do use the side A and angle A with angle B and side B and try and solve for angle B. Okay, so because I want to solve for angle B, I'm going to write sine of B on top over small, which is side B, equals to sine of angle A over side A. Okay, because this is what I'm actually looking for. All right, and then what you do is just fill stuff in. So I'm going to fill stuff in and say sine of B. I don't know B, but I know that side B is 11. And sine of A, I know angle A is 115 degrees over side A, which is 20. Okay, and then if you want to find sine of B equals multiply both sides by 11, multiply both sides by 11, that cancels. So you get 11 times the sine of 115 over 20. Okay, that seems fine, but that's not the answer. Remember, I'm looking for B. I'm looking for B. So how do I get B? So what you do is what we did earlier. If I'm looking for an angle, I take the inverse sine. Okay, so let me do that in a different color. I'm going to do inverse sine. That's the operation to reverse sine. Inverse sine of all of that. Okay, so here's what I'm left with. Inverse sine is the inverse operation of sine. So what I'm left with is the measure of angle B would be this. The inverse sine of all of this, 11 times sine of 115 degrees over 20. Okay? So how do I get rid of a sine? Because I'm not looking for sine of B, I'm just looking for angle B. How do I get rid of that sine? Well, the answer is do the inverse sine. Okay, it's the inverse operation. Just like if I have x plus 5 equals 10, minus 5 is the inverse operation that takes away the 5. Well, inverse sine is the inverse operation that takes away the sine. Okay, and gives me back an angle. All right, so this is what I have. Now here's the temptation. Students want to round stuff here and do stuff like that. No, no, no. Just type this whole mess in your calculator. Okay, so the only reason I have the calculator up here, I'm just going to use it once or twice, is to show you this. You want to be able to type in a sine inverse of this whole mess. So let's do that. So you go, see sine inverse is here. Okay, so you say second sine, so sine inverse, and then parentheses is given to you. I would put another parenthesis, and then that would be this parenthesis here to group the whole top numerator together. Okay, so I would then do 11 times the sine of 115. Okay, and then another parenthesis. All right, so in other words, I have all of this grouped together, and then divide by 20, and then close the last parenthesis. And so how do you know that you've got all your parentheses? I opened 1, 2, 3 of them, and I closed 1, 2, 3 of them. That's one way to check it. Or you can go like inside out, or outside in. This one matches this one, that's fine. This is my numerator, that's fine, and this is the sine, that's fine. Okay, hit enter, and you get the measure of angle B is about 29.9 degrees, I would say, if you round. Okay, 29.9 degrees if you round to the hundredth here. All right, so that's angle B. So 29.9 degrees. Happiness there. And then just keep solving. So now that I have angle B, I can find angle C. So this is a quick one. The measure of angle C is 180 minus the given angle 115 minus 29.9 degrees. And I'm going to write that's equals to 35.11 degrees. Is that what that was? 35.51 degrees. Sorry, 35.51 degrees. Ooh, let me check that. I'm not sure if that's right. 180 minus 25. Yeah, 35.1 degrees. Okay. So there we go, 35.1 degrees. So now I know that this angle here is 35.1 degrees. Okay, and now I have to find the only other missing thing. So box your answers. I found angle B. I found angle C. So the only other missing thing is side C over here. That's the only other missing thing. Okay, so let's go do that. So if I do that, let me switch to another color. And I'm just going to say, do that one. So this was step 2, basically. Then step 3 would be solve this and see if I get, and see what side C is. Okay, what's the length of side C? So I want side C, so I'm going to do C over sine C equals, and then use the information you were given. I was given these two pieces of information, so I'm just going to use that to try and be as accurate as possible. Oh, and that's incorrect. Forgive me for I've sinned. This should be A over sine A. Okay, and then I know angle C now. I found that over here, right? Angle C from here. I can plug in to sine of 35.1 degrees. Okay, and then that's equal to A, which was given to me as 20 over sine of 115 degrees. Okay, and then that means that side C is equals to, if I multiply this one to the top here, 20 times the sine of 35.1 degrees all over the sine of 115 degrees. Okay. And again, this we did last class already together. Just type that whole thing like that on your calculator. Don't do rounding or anything. Just go straight all the way, type this in. This is my final answer, okay? And then you get sine side C is approximately 12.69, okay? So C is about 12.69. And then I've solved the triangle. I found angle B, angle C, and side C. I'm done. I've solved the triangle. Okay. Now, as we do this, I said to you that there's a case where there's no triangle. Okay. Now, in the case where there's no triangle, you would immediately, when you do your first calculation here, you'll get an error, and your calculator will say, I can't find an angle that matches this given information. Okay. You'll see that. So that's the error case. What we have here is the case where there's one triangle, but I need to make sure that there's not a second triangle. Okay, so I need to make sure that there's not a second triangle. So what we have to do to see if we can form a second triangle is use the first piece of information that I found, and say, okay, I'm going to take that angle B and do it. So I'm going to write this here for you on the side. Let me do this in yet another color. So I would say your step here is check if there is a second solution. Okay, check if there is a second solution or triangle. That's what we're saying. Remember we had the case where there was two triangles. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, you go back to your angle B, the very first thing we found. Okay, this angle B here, and we say use that as a reference angle in the second quadrant. Okay, so you go here and you say, all right, use 29.9 as a reference angle in the second quadrant. Okay, so this is now becoming a theta prime for me. It's a reference angle. And we say, then find a potential B2. So this was my first B, okay, for my first triangle solution, which we saw did work. Now we're going to see, we're going to say, find a potential angle B2. All right, and how do I do that? Well, I find this angle right here. So what you do is you just say that's 180 minus the 29.9 degrees, okay, and see what you get. So if I do that, I get 150.1 degrees, okay. So now what I have to see is, all right, I was given an angle A, all right, and I solved the first triangle, this one right here, that worked. Is there a second triangle that can come out of this? Okay, and this is my check now. I say, oh, what's the measure of angle A that I was given plus the potential measure of angle B2, the second thing I just found. So here's my B2, and what was my A? 115 plus 150.1 degrees. Okay, and you go, wait, these two angles together are already bigger than 180. These two angles together are bigger than 180 degrees. Okay, that means that I can't make another triangle because I can't already have two angles, angle A and angle B, that exceed the triangle sum theorem. Okay, so you just say, so you don't have to write all of this stuff. I'm writing this out very detailed for you to explain what's going on here. But you basically, this is the reason. Since the measure of angle A, which I was given, plus a potential measure of angle B2 is greater than 180, okay, a second triangle is not possible. Okay, and you'll see that that happens for sure when the triangle that you're given, or when the angle that you're given to begin with is a very big angle. Okay, so this is a very big angle already. So then it's difficult for me to be able to form a second triangle. Now I'm not saying that's a general rule. When the angle you're given is greater than 90, it doesn't work. But that's a definite warning sign that I can't make a second one because it's already a very, very big angle. Angle A is very, very big. Okay, so what we're saying is there's only one triangle here. Now, on your test or quiz, this is what you're really interested in. What should I be writing? I'm not expecting you to write all this, but you should be checking this somehow. Whether you just do it briefly, quickly, or something, that's fine. But what you should be doing for me is at least boxing the answers you did find. So angle B, angle C, and side C. Okay, and then whether you tell me this or not is not important. Okay, if you did the work and you figured out there's no second triangle, you can just say, oh, I know there's no second triangle, just move on. Right? I'm doing this to show you the procedure. Okay. All right. So let's look at the second case. So this is the one triangle case, okay, of SSA. So let's do the second one. That's a different case, and so you'll see how this works. Okay. So here I have another triangle, and I've got angle A is 51. So that's a acute angle. Okay, 51 degrees. Here's angle A. I like to put B up here, angle B and angle C. And then side A is 3.5 and side B is 5. Okay, so did I draw that correctly? No, I don't think I drew that correctly. I think I had it switched around. Let me see. I'll do B here, and I'll do C here, and say B is 5 over here. Okay, sorry, B is 5 over here, and opposite A should be 3.5. Okay, something like that. Now, you can draw. You wouldn't know this. I know already that this has no solution. Okay, that's why I was drawing it like that. But you would draw something like this and go, oh, I'm going to try and see if it works. Okay, and so that's fine. No problem with that. Don't worry too much about drawing precise triangles. All right. I'm trying not to completely deceive you by drawing incorrect triangles, but that's actually what you would do in practice. Okay, you draw some triangle and you don't know that it's not going to work until you check the math. Okay. All right, so step one, let's just find the missing thing we can find. Okay, so what can I find at this point? I have small side A, I have small side B, I don't know angle B, but I have angle A. So I can only go opposite, 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 opposite. Oh, so the only thing I can find right now is B because I don't know angle C or side C. Okay, similar to my first question. So I'm going to do, I want to find angle B in this case. So I'm going to go sine of B over side B is equals to sine of A over side A because I was given that information. Okay, and then we plug stuff in. I don't know angle B, but I know side B was given to me to be 5. Sine A was given to me to be 51. And side A was given to me to be 3.5. Okay, and I do the math. Sine of B is 5 times sine of 51 degrees over 3.5. And then I do the inverse operation to get rid of the sine. So I do inverse sine. Let me move this over a little bit. The magic of technology. Let me move that over. And so I do inverse sine of this mess. Okay, 51 degrees there. Like that. Okay, and inverse sine and sine are inverse operations, so what I'm left with is the measure of angle B. That's how you get the size of an angle, is you take the inverse sine. And in this case, that means that inverse sine of all of this, 5 times sine of 51 degrees all over 3.5. Okay, and if you still have this in your calculator, it's fine. I'm going to show you again how to type all this stuff. This is important to be able to type, okay? It's quite tricky. So you go second sine, and then parenthesis for the numerator here. I'm going to group all of this in one parenthesis. So I'm going to type 5 times the sine of 51. Close the sine parenthesis, close the numerator parenthesis, hit divide, and then divide by 3.5, and then close the parenthesis for the inverse sine. So looks to me like all my parentheses are matching, and if you, what happened? It says error domain, okay? And so this is correct. It says error domain because actually, if you were to take this right here, the inside of this, and you type that on your calculator, you actually get 1.11. And I don't know if you remember this, but our previous lesson 9.4, we said that I cannot take the inverse sine of anything that's bigger than 1 or less than -1. Okay, so this is actually because of our domain restrictions to make sure that the inverse sine is a function. This doesn't work. I can't do that, okay? And so that's why your calculator is screaming error domain, because I can't take the inverse sine of a number, of a ratio that's bigger than 1.1. That's bigger than 1, sorry. Okay, and so that's correct. So this tells me something. This is not useless information. This tells me something. This tells me that I can't do it. Okay, so you don't have to write error domain or anything. You just say no solution or no triangle at this point, because this doesn't work. All right, and that's it. You're done. So now we know here, which I did in the beginning. Actually, I can't achieve this. Okay, I can't achieve this. I tried to find this angle B that makes this work, but I can't achieve it. It's not possible. So there is no such a triangle. I can't make the triangle. This is the case where I'm swinging the thing around and it just doesn't touch the side. Okay, from our little introductory activity. All right, so this is the no triangle case. Okay, the other one was the one triangle case. Yay. All right, so I'm going to go back here, clear, get out of here. All right, so I got error. That means that there's no triangle. Okay. All right, so let's do the last situation. So I think what I'm going to do here is only do one example. There are two examples that are pretty much very, very similar. I'm just going to do one, and I'll let you figure out the other one from the completed note sheet if you want to. Or if I get mass outcry about this, I guess I'll do another one. But it's really not that scary to see how this works. So you'll see how this works. So this is obviously the third case. So we had the one triangle case, check. We had the no triangle case, check. And so based on what I showed you in the beginning, now we have to have the two triangle case. Okay, the two triangle case. So let's see how this works. Okay, so again, I'm given an angle A. That's 40 degrees. That's acute angle. Okay, 40 degrees is A here. And then side A is 13. Okay, side A is 13. Side A here is 13. And side B is 16. So side B for me would have to be where? Here, right? So side B is 16. So this is angle B, and this is angle C and side C. Okay, so again, side, angle. That's the information I'm given. And I'm going to try and solve this triangle. Now, I drew a triangle that I'm trying to keep everything looking correct because it's acute. Let's see if that's really how it pans out. Okay, so step one, find the only thing I can find. Again, you can see we've got the same situation here. Only thing I can find is angle B at this point. Okay, so let's find angle B. So I'm going to go sine of B over B is sine of A over A. Okay, and then sine of B over 16 equals sine of 40 degrees over 13. Okay, and then I get sine of B is 16 sine of 40 degrees over 13. And again, do inverse operations, get rid of this. So the measure of angle B is inverse sine of this whole thing over here. Oh, let me do this, 13, like that. Okay, and I'm not going to go type this all in. You can do that. It's not that bad. But if you type it all in, you get measure of angle B is 52.29 degrees. Okay, so I said measure of angle B is 52.29 degrees here. Okay, so I found my first little piece of information. All right. What I would suggest at this point is you don't know. I just told you that this must be a two triangle case because you haven't done it yet. But you don't know that. So just keep going. Find angle C, find side C, do your thing. Okay? So step 2, find the easy thing to do next, which is angle C. So you just do measure of angle C must be 180 minus the given 40 minus what I just found, 52.29. So measure of angle C must be 20.29 degrees. Sorry. Must be 87.71 degrees. Okay, 87.71 degrees. So in my first triangle, this is actually 87.71 degrees. So you can see that's not really drawn correctly, but that's okay, right? We're not trying to be artists here. We're trying to do the math. And then you can go draw the picture more accurately if you want to afterwards, but that's not really a big deal. So I found angle B, angle C. The only other missing part for my first triangle, it seems like I'm getting a solution here. Of course I have, because the first one worked, is side C. So third step would be to find side C. So C over sine C equals, and I would do A over sine A, since this was the given information. All right? And then you do this, and you get side C, I don't know, over sine of the angle I just found, which is 87.71 degrees, which is 13 over sine of 40 degrees. Okay, and then you get C equals 13 times the sine of 87.71 degrees over the sine of 40 degrees. And punch that in your calculator, and you get side C is approximately 20.21. Okay, so now I have here, this is approximately 20.21. All right, happiness. But there's a reason that I have a whole blank page here, of course, because there's something else. So now we have to check. I got my first triangle. Check, everything is done. I solved it. Is there another triangle? So you wouldn't know this. Just like here we knew there was nothing else to do. I got error, done. Okay. Here I finished, and then I said, wait, is there another triangle? Check. All right. So let's go and check now. Step 4. Let's check. Can I make another triangle? Okay. So what you do is you take your first thing you found, which is measure of angle B, and you use it as a reference angle in the second quadrant. So I go here and I do this, and I say, I'm going to put 52.29 in here. Okay, and use it as a reference angle, and then say, what's the, so let's call this my theta prime reference angle. So what is my potential measure of angle B2? Let's see what that is. Okay, and so measure of angle B2 could be 180 minus my 52.29, and that gives me 127.71 degrees. Okay, now remember what we have to do. I have to say, okay, I found this measure of angle B, but let's say there's another angle B. Let's add it to my given angle A and see if that's still less than 180. That means I can still form another angle to make a triangle. Okay, so I go, all right, I'm going to say, what is measure of angle A plus measure of angle B2? And for my case, this would be 40 degrees plus 127.71 degrees. Okay, and what you see is, wait, that is less than 180 degrees. So there's still room for me to make another angle, okay, to make a triangle. Okay, so I can still have an angle C because there's something left over to make angle C be equal to. Okay, so now we do, okay, check. We say this worked. It's less than 180. There is another triangle. Okay, there's another triangle. So now what do I do? All right, now what you do is you say, all right, I've already found angle B, and now I've just found my potential angle B2. It's right here, 127 degrees. Okay, so I say that would mean that measure of angle B2 would be 127.71 degrees. Check. Okay, And so now I can find a measure of angle C2. Okay, so now I can say, let's do, let me pick a different color here again. Let's go back to black. Okay, so I'll do, for my second triangle, I'm going to say measure of angle A is still what I was given. I can't change that. But measure of angle B2 now is 127.71 degrees. Okay, and now I can use that to find the third angle, which is the C2. Okay, so this would be my angle C1, my side C. So now I have to find basically an angle C2 and a side C2. Okay, so the measure of angle C2 then would be 180 minus the 40 minus the 127.71 degrees. Okay, and if you do that, you get 12.29 degrees. So let's think about this. I have angle A is still 40 degrees. Okay, but now I'm saying angle B2, this angle B2 here, would have to be huge. 127.71 would have to be huge. Okay, 127.71, and that necessarily means that this angle then must be small, which is 12.29. So this all makes quite a bit of sense. This is my angle C2. Okay, A is just A because I was given that. I can't call that A2. So angle C2 then is 12.29. And angle B2 is 127.71, and I have to keep the stuff I was given. So side A still has to be 13, side B still has to be 16, but I have to find side C2. Okay, side C2. And so that's all I have to do now is find side C2. So how do I find side C2? I just say, all right, side C2 over the angle I just found for angle C2 would be the sine of C2 equals, and then just use the information you were given in the beginning. A over sine A. Don't change that. Just use the information you were given, and you say, side C2 then over the sine of 12.29 degrees is equals to A, which was for 13, over the sine of A, which is sine of 40 degrees. Okay, and that means that C2, not approximately, sorry, let me write this out for you. C2 is exactly equal to 13 times the sine of 12.29 degrees all over the sine of 40 degrees. And this is going to give you an approximate answer, okay? And so C2, I think, is 4.3, all right? So 4.3. Now, think about this again. I told you how this works. From geometry, you learned that if this side is shorter than this side, then the angle opposite the shorter side must be shorter than the angle opposite. It must be smaller than the angle opposite the longer side. That works, okay? And then if this is 87, this is 20, that seems correct too, because 87 is the biggest angle in this triangle, and the side opposite it is the biggest side. Okay, so does it work here? Yes. This is 127. That's the biggest angle, biggest side. Second biggest angle, second biggest side. Smallest angle, smallest side. That all looks correct based on some of the geometry you've learned. Okay, so box this. And I have my angle C2, I have my angle B2, and I have my side C2. So I've solved my second triangle, okay? And there it is. There's all of that. So this is the side-side angle case of law of sines, okay? You can have three different solutions. So solve, here, in a nutshell, solve for your first side, okay? Sorry, for your first angle. Solve for your first angle. If it works, keep solving until you've solved your first triangle. Then check, is there another triangle? Okay. If there is, say, then the angle that I found from using my first angle as a reference angle is my new second angle, and then you find your second triangle based on that information. Okay, that's basically the procedure. There is another example on the note sheet, number 7. I'm not going to go do that because this video is already forever. But yeah, so go check that out, see how that goes. I wrote it out very, very detailed solution there for you too again. And that's that. I hope this helps you guys. Thank you.